So let's talk about something kind of weird. Something a lot of us experience, but almost never mention. Why is it that after a period of intense focus, you suddenly feel all stuffed up?
You know that feeling, right? You've just wrapped up a marathon of meetings, or you've been heads down on a really tough project for hours, and the second you step away, bam, your nose starts running, you feel congested like you're getting a cold. If that sounds like you, I promise you are not crazy and you're definitely not alone. It turns out there's a really fascinating reason for this, especially if you're a deep thinker or a highly sensitive person.
But here's the thing. What if we've been looking at this all wrong? What if it's not about being sick at all? Let's think of it as a curious physical quirk. A little message your body is sending you that tells a much deeper story about how you're wired.
And this is the absolute key right here. This isn't really a problem with your nose. It's not an allergy, it's not a bug you picked up. The real cause is neurological. It's all about your nervous system.
So, if it's a message from your nervous system, what in the world is it trying to tell you? Well, let's decode that signal using a little bit of modern neuroscience. It really all comes down to a two-part response your body has to intense mental work.
Okay, so let's break this down. Think of it like this. When you're focusing really hard, or maybe you're a little stressed, your body hits the gas pedal. That's called sympathetic dominance. It's your alert, fight or flight mode. Now, when that happens, it causes a little bit of inflammation and makes the secretions in your nasal passages thicker, so things don't drain so well. Then, once the focus session is over, your body tries to balance itself out by slamming on the brakes. This is the parasympathetic rebound. It cranks up your rest and digest system. The only catch? That system's job is to stimulate glands, which means more saliva, more digestive juices, and yep, you guessed it, a sudden flood of mucus.
So how can you know for sure if it's your nervous system talking and not just a cold? Well, there are a few dead giveaways. First, check the timing. Does it get way worse right after a long stretch of screen time and not so much after a meal or when you wake up? Second, look at the quality. Is it mostly clear and watery, not thick and green? And finally, listen to your body. Does this stuffiness show up with friends, like a foggy head, a tight neck, or a clenched jaw? If you're nodding along, chances are it's a message from your overworked brain.
And if you happen to be a highly sensitive person, or HSP, this whole thing gets turned up to 11. See, an HSP's system just processes everything, sensory info, emotions, more deeply. It uses up way more neural energy. Their nervous systems also tend to flip between these states much faster. So for them, just 4 hours of intense mental work can feel, to their body, like 8 hours for someone else.
So here's the most important reframe I want you to take from this. Your body isn't broken. It's not malfunctioning. When it creates that brain fog or that sudden rush of mucus, it's actually trying to protect you. It's a built-in emergency brake to get you to slow down and stop overusing your system. It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Now, this is all fascinating stuff, right? Modern science giving us these clear answers. But what if I told you this new understanding isn't new at all? What if this is actually ancient wisdom that's just been given a new set of labels?
Yeah, believe it or not, ancient yogic texts, written thousands of years ago, they described this exact same mechanism. They were all over this. They just, used different words.
Let's start with the Bhagavad Gita. In it, there's this concept called rajas, which is basically a state of overactivity, restlessness, and mental strain. And the text says that when your mind is stuck in rajas, your body responds with tamas, a state of heaviness, dullness, and obstruction. Does that sound at all familiar? Rajas is a perfect description of what we now call sympathetic overload. And tamas? That's the cognitive fog and the excess secretions that follow. It's a one-to-one match.
And the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, they get even more precise. The teaching there is that when our life force, or prana, gets blocked in its channels, it creates physical knots and, excess secretions. And what's our modern term for blocked prana? Autonomic imbalance. That dysregulation that leads to glandular oversecretion. It's the exact same idea, just with a different label.
Okay, so this is pretty incredible, right? Two completely different worldviews, thousands of years apart, describing the exact same problem. So what about the solution? Well, you're going to love this. They basically agree on that too. The solution is unified.
See, the ancient approach is so smart. It isn't about fighting the mucus with some kind of medicine. It's about listening to what the body is trying to say. Don't fight the symptom, don't blame the body. The whole goal is just to restore your natural rhythm. You calm the overactivity, the rajas, so you can lighten that feeling of heaviness, the tamas.
So what does this actually look like during your workday? Well, it's all about smart pacing. Try working for about 25 minutes, then just take a 2-minute pause. And throughout the day, try to focus on making your exhales just a little bit longer than your inhales. That simple breathing trick is like a secret off switch for those overactive glands. Oh, and keep some warm tea or water nearby to stay hydrated and soothe your system.
And what about when you finally clock out for the day? It's all about gentle recovery. A little warmth, like a warm cloth on your neck and upper chest, can feel amazing. A super short, 5-minute slow walk can work wonders to help your whole system regulate. And try to avoid shocking your system with ice-cold drinks or blasting cold air right on your face.
But honestly, maybe the most powerful tool of all is a simple mental reframe. Instead of telling yourself, I have to push through this, just try this little mantra: my system needs pacing, not pressure. Seriously, that one shift in your thinking can be enough to start calming that nervous system response all on its own.
So we've looked at modern neuroscience, we've explored ancient yogic philosophy, and we've talked about practical tips. And it all boils down to one simple, powerful, unifying idea that brings it all home.
And this is really the heart of it all. What our modern science calls nervous system symptoms, the Bhagavad Gita called an imbalance of gunas, and what Patanjali called blocked prana. It's all just different language from different times, all pointing to the very same truth about how our amazing bodies work.
So the next time you feel that fogginess or that stuffiness creeping in after a long day of work, don't just reach for a tissue. Just pause for a second and ask yourself, what message is my body sending me right now? And really listening to that answer, well, it might just change everything. Thanks so much for digging into this with me today.